Hello everyone, this is Gilbert Gelada. I'm talking to you here from CPLSPA headquarters in downtown. This is Tufts on Tax, where all your tax law questions are answered here. Any trouble you are having with taxes regarding lawsuits, any trouble with employers, businesses, friends, and family, even with the IRS, your peace of mind is right here with the master and the expert, T. Scott Tufts. He will help you in any lawsuit or litigation regarding taxes and tax law. You can call him at 877-647-7887. Again, it's 877-647-7887, or you can email him at stufts, which is stufts at cplspa.com. You can visit the website at cplspa.com. Now, Mr. Tufts focuses on how tax forms and other issues impact people's daily lives in ways that are often overlooked or unknown. Certain tax forms like Form 1099 NEC or Form 1099 Miscellaneous or Scheduled K1 or Form 8082 when filed can lead to litigation. Now, first of all, how are you, Tufts, today?
I'm doing great today. Good to be with you.
Good to be with you, too. And since I was just mentioned, now, last episode was Form 8082 with Scheduled K1. Now, today, I noticed that there is, on the form, we're still continuing 8082, but there is an AAR on the form.
That's right. So what we have to let everyone know is that if they pull these forms and they are looking at them, maybe they say things that are not clear right after they hear maybe us talk about it, and then they get to the form long after we've talked, there might be some confusion. So it was very important in picking up from last time that we explain how the 8082 form itself is used for two different purposes. The first purpose is the idea that, like we talked about, that if the K1's wrong or you don't get a K1 but you should have, you use the 8082 on your individual return to backstop being a position inconsistent with the K1, okay? Or what might be coming in a K1, okay? So that's kind of a step one or a different purpose of the 8082. Another thing that the 8082 is to do is to be an administrative adjustment request. Again, AAR, administrative adjustment request. Now, what's that mean? That means that if you have what we call a BBA partnership, let's kind of put that aside for a minute, but it's a special type of the way that the tax law views partnership entities and how they audit them. If you have a BBA partnership, then you might be in a position where you cannot amend the tax return for that partnership without going through certain steps, and the first step being the filing of an administrative adjustment request, Form 8082 AAR. So, our listeners, just dumbing it down, you got a partnership or LLC entity, it's your accountant or you believe it is a BBA partnership. You might be faced with a situation where in order to amend that return for whatever reason on a timely basis, you cannot amend it. You have to instead file the Form 8082 AAR with the IRS, essentially asking for permission to amend the return.
Let me see. So you're applying it, it's two sections, basically, it's just the same one,
right, so
applying it again?
When we look at the form itself, it's kind of complicated.
And I'll put that on the screen.
Yeah, and it's complicated. It's got a lot in there, but the main thing is at the very at the top, there are two boxes. Box A, Notice of Inconsistent Treatment, and Box B, AAR. Okay. So two different purposes, and you use this form for one or the other purpose.
Oh, okay. So you won't use it twice at the same time.
Well, no, you could use it on two different occasions.
Okay.
But it might
be
not
at once.
Exactly. So it's just two different purposes going on.
I see.
All right. Now the key there, though, is that folks understand, of course, what is a BBA partnership. because that's who would use this form for this AAR purpose. Now,
can you give us an example from past experience?
Sure. So a BBA partnership would be, remember we were and have talked about an LLC, XYZ LLC.
Yeah.
And let's say X, Y, and Z are the members of the LLC, owners.
Okay.
Okay. So you have Mr. X, Mr. Y, and Mrs. Z. Okay. Now, that's pretty straightforward LLC, right? 3 individual owners LLC. If one of those members, let's say Mrs. Z, goes to an estate planner and forms a revocable trust for estate planning, and Mrs. Z puts her interest in a revocable trust, let's assume with the permission of the others, you now created a BBA partnership.
I see.
Okay. So what a BBA partnership is, and this is the simplest way I can make it, it would be that you have a tiered structure where in the middle, or, where the ownership level is a partnership, an S Corp, a trust, or another LLC, or a revocable trust. You understand what I'm saying? So that the owner itself is not an individual, right? But an entity. Okay. Once you create a tiered structure, the BBA rules operate or are intended to operate to make the entity put someone in charge of this mess. Okay. So essentially, they want a partnership representative to be the go-to person if the IRS audits or you're seeking to amend the return. Correct? So what our listeners need to understand is that every time they have an LLC that is taxed as a partnership, meaning you have 2 or more owners, all right? Or you have a partnership with 2 or more partners, but same thing, and you're filing IRS Form 1065, what our listeners need to know is that if any of those partners or members or owners are a pass-through entity of some kind, a trust, another LLC, a partnership, anything that's kind of a entity that looks through it, then that gets you into this world of special rules for a BBA partnership. Okay. Now there's opportunities to elect out, but not all can. A little bit more involved in that. But for purposes of today, we needed to get the word out that if you're looking at amending a partnership return, you have to know first whether or not you have a BBA partnership.
Awesome. And BBA partnership only with 8082 or with other forms as well?
Well, so the BBA partnership is a type of partnership that has this structure, this tiered structure to it. And therefore, there would be other partnerships that do not. So in the example of Mr. X, Mr. Y, and Mrs. Z, all things equal, they would not be a BBA partnership because they're individual owners. There's not that multiple layers in it.
Correct. Yeah.
It is only when Mrs. Z puts a revocable trust or one of the other 2 put their interest in an LLC that you then get into this tiering of structure that creates the BBA partnership.
Okay.
So what the IRS does as soon as the complexity goes up is they'll classify BBA partnership. What I want everyone to know, though, is that if you have an LLC and you're looking to amend its return, or you're a partner and you have a K1 and you're like, I'm going to amend my return and change my K1, you better use that 8082 on your return, like we talked about last time. And you may also, if you're in charge of the entity, have a duty to file the AAR request at the higher level if you're a BBA partnership.
And that's why we care about this?
That's why we care. Because what I'm saying to you is people think that they can amend unilaterally without the permission of the IRS. This process and form contemplates that you go knock on the door and ask, can we amend? Okay? It is also the process by which the IRS audits. And therefore, the very first question an IRS revenue agent will ask when auditing a partnership is this a BBA partnership? So what's kind of nice, we can sum it up this way. You have to ask if you have a LLC or partnership, you have to first ask, are you a BBA partnership or a non-BBA partnership?
Oh, okay.
All right. So that's kind of the takeaway from today's discussion. Am I or am I not? Now, a little refinement there. You can be a BBA partnership and elect out of it and become a non-BBA partnership, so you can kind of switch over. But for our purposes, as to just keeping it simple, we want everyone to know you're in an LLC that's a partnership or in a partnership, filing Form 1065. Every year, if you're looking at it, you should say, hey, are we a BBA partnership or a non-BBA partnership?
So, are we a BBA partnership or not? That is the question, I guess, for today.
That is the question.
So, guys, as you heard Mr. T. Scott Tufts, if you have questions like that, or you are in need for something like that, more explanations, you need him to help you with that, call him at 877-647-7887. Again, 877-647-7887. If you're watching YouTube, it will be on the bottom of the screen. And also hit that like button and save us so you get all the updates, all the episodes as well. You can visit us on the website cplspa.com. On his bio, you will have all the episodes as well and all other information. You can contact him. You can email him at stufts@cplspa.com. That's stufts@cplspa.com. Thank you, and for next time, we'll see you.